In this video, I'll be showing you how to configure always on high availability in SQL Server 2022. I'll be setting up using virtual box. I'll be setting up 3 servers. One we act as the domain controller, another one we act as our SQL node 1, SQL node 2, and those 2 nodes will be connecting to the domain controller. As you can see what I've done here, this is my domain controller, this is my SQL node 1, and this is my SQL node 2. So what I've done here is that I have configure always on for this TestDB, and it's synchronizing with this server here. So the node 1 is acting as the primary, while node 2 is the secondary server. So anything you do on node 1 automatically writes to node 2. And I'll be showing you how to do this step by step. So thank you. So let's start. So you are going to need the following software in order to configure SQL Server always on. For this lab, I'll be using a virtual box, and we are going to be doing it on the Windows Server 2019. And the SQL Server we are going to be using is SQL Server 2019 as well, or 2022. Then we are going to be needing SQL Server Management Studio as well. So what we want to do is that in order to achieve this, we need 3 virtual machines. So I want to do a 2-node cluster environment. So the 3rd virtual machine is going to be our domain controller. So that means the 2 nodes, the primary node, which is node 1, hosting the SQL server, and node 2 will also be holding another SQL server instance. So these 2 instances will be a cluster environment in such a way that when one node is down, then the other nodes automatically pick up, and you can switch between the primary and the secondary node. So in order to achieve that, we must have a domain controller, because the domain controller will control both machines. So let's start. So we have to configure the VMwares. So the virtual machines configuration will go this way. For the domain controller, we have to have a 40 gig, the hard disk, the memory minimum of 2 gig, and the network we will leave it as bridge adapter. Same thing for this, but the only difference is just that we need more hard disk space on the SQL nodes. So let's open our virtual box. Then you click on machine, new, then give it a name. I want to call it domain controller DC. Then select the folder where you want it to be created. So this is the folder where I want it to be created. You say select. Then this is very important. Don't select your ISO image yet. If you do that, it's going to give you error. So take note of that. But so just come here and select Windows 2019. Then say next. It's already 2 gig already assigned to it. 1 CPU. I have 8 CPU on my machine, so it's using just 1. The hard disk I want for this is just 40 gig. Since it's just a domain controller, next, and then finish. That's how to create. Then create the second one, SQL node 1. So you do the same thing, select the folder where you want it to be created. folder, Windows, next, 2 gig RAM, 50 gig, leave the hard disk as default, next, finish. Then the next one, say SQL node 2. Finish. So after creating all our virtual machines, so starting from the first one, you go to settings, then we go to advanced, bidirectional, then go to network, change the disk instead of NAT, change it to bridge adapter. Then under advanced, allow all. So do the same thing for other VMs as well. Create settings, go to advanced, bidirectional, then network, change it to bridge adapter, then allow all. Okay, then you do the same thing for node 2, settings, advanced, bidirectional, then network, bridge adapter, allow. Now we've done all the default setting as seen on this slide. You can see this is what we just did. We changed the network from NAT to bridge adapter. Then the next step now is for us to do the installation. Install the OS on the virtual machine. So the first one we are going to install is to install our domain controller. So let's install Windows Server on our domain controller. Like I said before, these are the list of softwares that you need. I already downloaded them. So this is my Windows Server evaluation. So now I will have to install it on all these 3 virtual machines. So let's start with the domain controller. To do my installation, now we just click on Start. So it's asking me where is the installation file. So I will now click here and select my installation file. This is the folder where I downloaded my Windows Server. So I will select that as a mount and retry reboot. So click on next, install now. Select Windows Server 2019 Data Center Evaluation Desktop Experience. Please note that. Then click on next. Accept the license agreement and click on next. Then select custom install Windows only. then just click on next. So this will take about 5 minutes for the installation to be completed. So but if you look at to your left on my screen, you will discover that this DC shows a green arrow with a running. So that means this is the machine that is on. That is the where the installation is happening. So while this installation is going on, I'll go ahead and install the Windows Server on my SQL Node 2, Node 1 and Node 2 as well. So while this is running, I'll come here and start the second virtual machine. So this will be running in the background while I'm doing this as well. So I'll click on start. So the same thing is asking me for my installation file, mount. So as you can see, now I have two machines running together. This is one, the DC, as you can see it's written here, DC running. So that is the installation is going on there. And this is SQL Node 1. This is also running. So both of them are on. This is still installing, and this one is also installing. So the two machines are installing. So I will come here. Please don't mix it up. This is one machine DC and this is SQL Node 1. Another thing you can do is that you can complete the installation first before starting the next installation. But for the purpose of this practical, I don't want the video to be too long, so that is why I'm doing it concurrently. So install. I think because both are installing at the same time, that is why it's a bit slow. But I'm going to pause it so that I can complete the installation of the domain controller. So let me pause the video so that it won't take most of our time. Okay, yeah, it's up now. So you select the same thing, click on next. Accept the license agreement. Next. So now both of them are installing Windows Server 2019. So in the meantime, I'm going to pause the video. Then we come back as soon as the domain controller installation is completed. Then we can start the configuration. So the installation is completed. Now it's asking for the administrator admin password that you want to use. So I'm going to use admin at 1234. And that's the password that we use for all the users throughout this training. So admin at 1234. Then I click on finish. So you can see that the SQL Node 1 at the back is also almost completed. So that is still running. Now the installation of the domain controller is completed. So to log in, click on Input, Keyboard, Insert Ctrl or Delete. Now we are going to type the password we gave initially, admin at 1234, then press enter. So we come to the SQL node 1, give the same password, admin at 1234, tab. Then I'll go back to my domain controller. So our server is up now. So the first thing you want to do when your computer comes up like this is to install the guest addition. So you come here, come to devices, insert guest addition CD image. You click on that. Then when you click on that, you go to your file explorer. Then you go to your CD where you have your virtual guest addition. Then you want to install the application. I can right click and say run as administrator. So that should be the first thing you do anytime you are installing on a virtual machine or on a virtual box. So finish. So it's asking you that it's going to reboot. That's okay. Let it reboot. So while this is rebooting, let's go to our SQL node 1. So I'm going to log in here as well. Admins, that's 1234. So now this has reboot. So input, I want to log in. So let's go back to our slide. So we've installed the OS on our domain controller. If you look at the next slide, what I need to do next is to configure a static IP address for that virtual machine. So after installing the guest addition, so the next thing is to configure a static IP address. So let's go and do that. Like we did initially, the first thing you need to do here as well is to install the guest addition. You come to device, insert guest addition CD image, then open your file explorer, go to your CD drive, virtual guest addition, right click and run it as administrator. And install. So while this is installing, so let's configure the IP address for this. So I'm going to minimize the server manager. So to configure the IP address, first of all, come here and type cmd. So this is going to show your command prompt, then you open it and type ipconfig. So this is going to show the IP that the system has automatically assigned to your virtual machine. Then you can now go back to your, you can even do it from here. Right click here and open network and internet. Then go to Ethernet, go to network and sharing center. Then click on change adapter setting. Double click Ethernet. Click on properties. I always like to disable IP6. Then go to IP4 and select properties. So now use the following IP address. So you now come here, look at what the system automatically assigns. Now here we have 192.168.1.189. 189. So that is what you are going to enter here. We are 192.168.1.189. Then subnet mask, the same thing, 255.255. Then your default gateway 192.168.1.254. That is what you have here. 192.168.1.254. So then under preferred DNS, we have 192.168.1.254 as well. That's, you use your default gateway as it is written here. Then you click on OK. So let me note that down. 192.168.189. Let me be sure. .189, yeah. So 189. That's done. Then here is 254 as well. So now we set our static IP address. So after doing that, open your server manager. Before you install most of those roles, come to local server. So I want us to disable some windows, to disable the window firewall, to disable we don't need the internet, but the major thing we need to do here is to disable the Windows firewall. Although you are not going to do that because this is not your job as I say SQL DBA administrator. This will be done by the system admin, but for this lab we need to disable it so that we don't get error while we are doing our installation. So just click on Windows firewall. Then under domain network, you switch it off, go back, do the same thing for private network, then go back, then do the same thing for public network as well. So this is not advisable in a production environment. It's just for this lab. Okay. Then another thing you need to do is to change the computer name. So you come to the computer name, then change the computer name to DC, that's domain controller. Just leave it like that, then say OK. So it will ask you to restart it again. Close, restart now. So it's restarting. So while that is restarting, this has finished installing the VirtualBox guest addition. So finish, it will also restart. So it's like I'm configuring two servers at the same time. So let's wait for them to restart. Now this is up and running. Now I'll click on login again. To install a window features called the domain controller. So let's do that now. So click on add roles and features. Click on next. Click on next. Click on next. Then select active directory domain service. Add features. Then click on next. Click on next. Next. Install. So this is what will make this server to act as our domain controller. So you wait for the installation to complete. So starting installation. Now the installation is completed. But if you notice something here, it said promote this server to a domain controller. So you need to click this. Now it has installed the window features. So at this point now it wants to promote it to a domain controller. So you need to click this for the installation for the OS to promote this server to a domain controller. Another thing you can do is to close this and come and you can see this icon here, notification. When you click on it, it will show you promote this server to a domain controller. But I'm going to click it from here now. So it will now ask us, these are the three options of where or how you can promote a server to a domain controller. So I'm going to add a new forest, and the forest will be sql.com. Then you click on next. That would be my domain name. Indirectly, that's the root domain name. So I will click on next. Now it's asking me for the password. So at this point in time, I'm going to use the same password I've been using, which is admin at 1234. Then admin. Then I'll click on next. Then click on next. So you click on next here as well. You just click on next. Next. Then you can ignore this. It's because I'm doing the installation on a virtual machine. So just click on install. Then you wait for the installation to complete. During the installation process, it's going to restart the server by itself. So this is going to take about 5 minutes or less to complete. So when the installation is completed, it will give you this message: you are about to be signed out. The computer is being restarted because Active Directory. So it's going to restart by itself. Now it will now ask you to log in to the domain controller. So let's see. Let's wait for it to restart. Now the computer has completed the reboot process. So that's completed. So let me log in now. So you will notice something now, that in front of the administrator we have SQL, which is my forest name, my domain controller name. So that means if I log in this time around, I'm logging in to the domain controller because this server has been promoted to a domain controller. So now let me log in. So when you come to server manager this time around, if you notice, if you look at this left pane, you will see that it has added something: Active Directory and DNS. So when you come to local server this time around, let's see, watch out for this work group. Watch out, it's going to update. Yeah, can you see? So now it's showing domain. Unlike before, it was showing work group. Now it's showing domain, and the domain name is sql.com. That is what we put initially. So after doing this, the first thing I need to do is to create two important users. Again, so when you come to tools, if you come to Active Directory users and computers, click on that. So this is our sql.com. When you click on this, so these are all the users, default users that comes with it. Let me expand it. To create two important users, which I noted here, that is configuring DC server. So we have to create a user called SQL admin, and this is the password I've been using since. Let me bold it. And I will also create a user for myself. So we've done this, we've installed the features, we've promoted it to a domain controller. Now I need to create this user with this password, and I also create a user for myself. And my own username will be Olu, and I will still use the same password. So let's do that. So I'll come here under users, right click and say new user. So the first username will be Olu, last name Olu, and the username will be Olu. I click on next. You can see in front of the username is saying SQL/Olu. Next, and the password will be admin. Check this password never expires. Next, finish. Then I need to create another user as well. That would be the SQL, then admin. Here I will type it together: SQL admin. SQL admin, the password. So you will see the essence of creating creating these 2 users. Finish. So after creating the user, I will double click each of those new users, then go to member of and click add. So you type admin. I want to add those users to the admin group. So I will do that. Okay. Apply. Okay. Do the same thing for the SQL admin. Member of administrator. Okay. Apply. Okay. Now you can close this. We will still come back to this later because I need to show you by the time we started adding our servers, I need to show you how it's going to reflect on the domain controller. Now we've completed the setup for the domain controller. We've done with the domain controller. Now we will now go to the SQL node 1 and start the configuration. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly subscribe to our channel. I will be doing more of this video like this. I will also be setting up exactly what I just did now on Azure, and for you to be notified, kindly subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.